Hey everybody, how are you today? I have Jennifer back after, let's see, 4 months of us not connecting, and there's purpose in that. Like I told her in here, and you're going to hear this, I said, you kind of just went away. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the videos that I do with Jennifer, they're very different than the ones that I do when it comes to helping you understand spiritual awakening and ascension at I'll just say a really practical level. We talk about the cosmic understanding, like literally big picture. That's really where she spends most of her time, is at this cosmic level. And what's interesting in the work that we do individually is when we come together, we actually end up saying the same thing, but we say it differently. And the information that I bring through in previous channels is really the same thing she's experiencing, but at a cosmic level. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to give you I guess I'll just say a cosmic update. And so it's kind of nice to be back and having this conversation again. I will say, for those of you, like I said, who are new to listening to the two of us talk, it is a little lofty at times. And so what you'll hear me say is, okay, now hold on. Let's explain that, help me understand. And I'll ask questions, because sometimes I don't always understand until I'll get information and I put connections together, and then it connects to a lot of the information I brought through. But I thought I would let you listen to this today as we have another conversation. Again, as we get together, we never know if it's going to be a video. We basically get together to talk and to update, and I just click the record button. And so you're going to get that information today. So some of the things we're going to cover, and it all connects together. We're going to talk about corrections happening cosmically. And you'll see what that means. Past, present, future. We're going to give you a collective update. We're going to talk about root races and every 26,000 years, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. We're going to talk about 0 point again, and we're also going to talk about how the walls are coming down. So all of that may sound a little nebulous, but it all ties together, and it does have to do with where we are at collectively and cosmically. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoy our video. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these videos for your awakening and ascension and life journey experience. So hopefully you always take a nugget or two away. Like I say, a puzzle piece for the puzzle of your own journey that you're putting together so that you can understand this life, this experience more fully for yourself. So check out the link below. Also, it will take you to more free content. Essentially, you're going to get a video that talks about how to create flow in your body for health and wellness. But then, I think more importantly, it takes you to my regular email list, where every Friday I send a complimentary channeled message for the week to come. And that's what I use my email list for. So it's a channeled message from the Light Keepers to help support you along your journey. So if you like that kind of support from the angelics, you'll get one every week on Friday. So join me there as well for more free content. I also offer more content on my Facebook page, Purple Rain Healing, as well as Instagram under Carolyn Zaiser. So join me there too for more free content. Again, those are all the supported messages from the Light Keepers who channel through me for your awakening and ascension journey. So with that, I'm just going to give a quick update on kind of what's been going on. I don't want to say just in my world, but what I'm very much noticing, and this is so cool, I guess in my world, and I'll just give this to you because it's aligning directly with what was brought through for February. If you recall, and if you listen to the February energy update, they talked about an upliftment energy, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have been through over the last couple of weeks a greater understanding and awareness of who I am cosmically. And this is kind of the journey we go through. We start to really move inward into our human self and start to understand ourselves more fully, bringing those parts back into us, bringing the energy that we give away for so long back to us to understand who we truly are, and to really do that healing work, to do that self-growth work, to do some of the more, what I'll call insular work, right? Before we come back out at some point in time, whatever that means for us individually. So there's, as you know, when you've been going through this journey, a lot of this is very individual self inner work. But what I'm finding lately, and this makes so much sense, the year of creative expansion, like they've said, and now this is this month of upliftment, I am literally going through this. I have had just a bunch of really interesting information come through for me where I'm understanding more of my cosmic self. And that information comes through, as you know how it does, through synchronicities in spades for me, as well as conversations that I've had with others. And all these pieces are coming together in huge ways. And now I'm starting to understand the totality, as much as we can in this human journey, right, of who I am. Not just this human life, my past lives, but cosmically, the big picture. And now I'm understanding myself more, and I'm getting this huge upliftment energy from understanding this further and understanding more about the connections I have with, I'll just say, the star beings, and how that will potentially manifest down the road. So, I'm on this journey too, right? And it's new to me in this consciousness of Carolyn, right? And so what I'm starting to realize is, and they're kind of validating this, is we do this inner human journey first, and a lot of us do have these cosmic connections off and on, but we eventually will not only have the connection to our consciousness, our self here in this human body, the understanding of who we are, mind, body, soul, but we're going to make the cosmic connections, whatever that means for you. Now, I will say I've never had, well, that's not true. No, I've never had what I'll call star being encounter. I have had angelic encounters because I'm very connected to the angels. But as far as the star being part of that, which you can argue they're probably all the same, but there's a difference in the realms, okay? But point being is I've always wanted that, but I've had some blocks. I just have learned about this in the last couple weeks, all in February with upliftment energy, right? And now my heart chakra is opening up to expand to the star beings where I had the block before, and all these experiences that I won't go into now that I've now starting to unravel. But it's like I'm getting plugged into my heart chakra and opening that up, which I've always known has been kind of a little bit, I don't know, I want to say closed, not to the human side of things, but to other parts of me. Well, guess what? Now I'm getting the totality of me opening up, the understanding of who I am, what I am, the fullness, the cosmic us, which is really kind of interesting. We're talking today about the having a cosmic update, I will say. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. That's my experience, and it's always a little trippy when I bring through information for the month, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, these things are happening to me. And then I reflect on the energy update, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, it would make sense that maybe I would go through this so that I can assist you in understanding how that might evolve for you. But it's always a little trippy when it's like, wow, this is happening. This is really happening. And of course, as we know right now, we've got a lot going on out there in the collective, as you well know, with our governments and the encounters in the skies, and things are just all really starting to line up, is what I will say. Is I just heard the words line up. So again, keep your eyes peeled to the skies. This is what they've said in the past. Keep your eyes peeled to the skies. Wow, they are saying this in spades. Keep your eyes peeled to the skies. Okay. And I don't think I'm going to go into the video with Jennifer and I is long enough. I don't think I'm going to go into some of the things that maybe we'll see coming up. I might do that in another video. Wait and see what happens. But anyway, so enough of that, because I could just start channeling about current circumstances. But I think you guys can just kind of take what we offer you today. Hopefully that will help you forward. And of course, I will see you at the end of the video. All right, enjoy it. Okay, so go ahead. So we were talking about the weirdness of time lately, and how you and I haven't talked since November, which is super bizarre. And I'm just going to make this comment, is that I was just kind of doing my thing, but I was really noticing an oddity with time myself. But at the same time, I could feel you being like, I'll just say, like, gone, like only a wisp, an ethereal wisp of energy out there doing something. You were out there also, and maybe you're able to tell me more about this, but keep going with what you were saying.
I was just mentioning, I don't know if you heard that when it froze, but I was saying, even when we speak about stuff like this, I think that we're we're, like I was saying, we're all our own special snowflake in a lot of ways, but we are so connected in so many other ways that when we talk about the experience, the collective really understands this. Now we're feeling this together the whole way. So even if I say, oh, I did this, it's the same thing. We're all together in this. Yes. So, but it's, yes, I did. I felt like I had it's a few months or almost a year of this prior. And then I felt like, okay, I'm back in kind of, okay, I've got all my stuff recollected and I'm doing something. And then I had I don't know if it was a blip or if I just needed to go back again. I don't think so, because I think that some stuff happened there that was, it's funny how these big corrections are made, and they're big. They're like big ones, like all of time kind of big ones, right? Yeah. And they hard, and they finally go through, and you feel this like back in like stabilization. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome. But then I feel I a lot of times I feel like I'm almost like a retaliatory or a pushback from somebody who doesn't want to make the adjustment, right? And so sometimes we get like swished off to the side. And this last one, I felt like, okay, I'm done with this. And then I got kind of pushed back into this weird part of the total correction. So
okay, when you talk, let me clarify. So when you're talking about the part of the total correction, you're talking about the collective part, like you feeling like you're moving through and the collective something comes in, and I just want to make sure I understand what you're talking about.
And it ties to the collective. So if you say the collective, okay, our collective is so, all of us are just, we're all part of everything that is, of course, right? So when some of the stuff that I do when I realize as we're correcting is doing earthly things, it's doing human things, it's doing cosmic things, it's doing galactic things. There's like things going on in the atmosphere. There's cosmic energies happening. There's all kinds of things going on through all of creation that tie to certain things. So when there's a correction, and usually I can see it from macro to macro the whole way, the whole correction and how it affects soup to nuts, top to bottom. Okay.
Right. That's what I wanted to ask you about. Yeah.
So when those go through sometimes, and they're big motions and they change a lot, but it changes it for the better. But sometimes there's a pushback. And I don't know, it's not always from a conscious being that's saying, no, I don't want that. Sometimes it's something that is just like an inertia change, and it's just having to rebalance itself. Or there's like when you swish a bucket of water, it goes one way and then it comes, flashes you.
They're showing me, trying to explain this. They're showing energy. They're showing a flame. This is just their metaphor. This flame, they're showing that flame. That's a picture that I actually have of a cold flame, hot flame. And this hot flame is coming in and enveloping here. It's like a wave, but it's coming back over. And this blue flame is coming in and going like this. So it's almost like what they're showing is this. They're trying to explain what you are talking about. It's actually part of the blending of the two. Does that make sense? To even out? Oh God, is that making any sense at all?
It does. It's funny because they're using the visual, because a lot of times I'll see the nebula that has this bright orange and bright blue. Sometimes it looks like the eye of God. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They show that to me like the energetic is a metaphor for. So I was looking at one of these and they came back up and they're highlighting the orange. So I said, okay, what does this mean? What does the orange represent? And they say the orange is a catalyst to get the blue to manifest.
Oh my God. And I just saw that whole visual. That's so weird.
So this was just the other night.
Wait, the orange is a catalyst for the blue to manifest.
As I was saying, okay, what does the orange represent here? Because you're highlighting orange to me in this nebula. I see it all the time. They always show me this particular. So I'm like, what does the orange represent? The orange is the catalyst for the blue to manifest.
So how does that?
So to me,
go ahead.
That's to me in a lot of ways. Sometimes like what I think of as the feminine and the masculine. The feminine is a super highly creative one, and the masculine is the one who manifests.
Yes.
Right? So those two energies running together. They're kind of like, I am full of creativity and I'm going to bombard you with it. It's like chaos and an architect, right?
Okay.
And they have to kind of balance each other, right?
So you and I haven't talked since November, so you don't know probably what they've talked about for the new year, which is what your visualization that we're talking about is. I think it's the year of creative expansion.
Absolutely.
You're talking about the year of creative expansion and everything that we do, and the December time frame like really brought us a lot of big stuff for us individually, but collectively. And then moving into this new year in January, we were kind of doing cleanup from those last month or two of 2022. But they said we're in the year of creative expansion. So this is what you're looking at, what you're seeing.
Yes, yes. And this is not new for me. This is something that I've been shown for long. Even
okay.
With Marie, it was the same thing. They were saying, we were doing a guided kind of visualization to help me realign some energies for myself at the time. And they said, she was saying, now you need to connect up through all of these other learning layers and everything else, and just keep going until you feel to maybe a more of a closer origin. And I did this visualization, and there it was. That nebula is what showed up for me. So there's something about that particular one that has some significance for me as well. But this is something that just happened the other day again.
So let me ask you this question then, so that we can look at that, because I have a question as to how that applies to the collective. Is it connected to what I was talking about, or what, we're bringing the divine feminine masculine? We know that that's part of this journey, but like, how's that applying to where we're at now? Are you getting anything on that? Did you?
Well, the creative expansion is what you're talking about. Right. It is, or in the next, it's almost like a push. It's a push through for the next creative phase, I think. And it is, how do I say, it's not necessarily two parties either. It might be the energies within us. So we have the energy of highly creative, and then we have the energy of manifestation. And sometimes it's internal, sometimes it's external, sometimes it has to do with other players involved, or it just may have to do with timing. You never know. But it is a creative energy. It is a super highly creative and ready to manifest. So that would, to me, like what you said earlier, I think that is the timing that we're in now.
Okay, so let me add to what I said about this year, because what they've shown since November is that, and then they gave a lot of detail in the February energy update, or more detail, I should say, is that the end of February, they kept showing the end of February back in November, that there was going to be a catalytic energetic event for light workers. They showed me this in my kitchen, and the audience knows this, but I'll tell you, where there are all these light beings, they were us, light workers, lined up, kind of like the vision you have when a whole group of people go to heaven, and then there's this gateway. They were showing this gateway with all these white beings, and they're like, those are the light workers. There is a gateway opening up the, basically, I saw the visualization of the end of February timeframe. Well, now they've firmed that up. They validated it a couple more times in my energy updates for the new year and then for February. But they said, they're talking about solar now, like some solar effect. Now, whether this is a massive collective, we all know it, or it's an internal energetic thing that we all have happen individually. I wanted to throw that out as part of this story in case that connects with anything you have been seeing. Because again, just for our audience's purpose, if this turns into a video, you see things at a very galactic level, I'll say, right? Wouldn't you? Is that how you would describe it?
I would even go a little bit further than galactic. Yeah. It was more of a cosmic level.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And so it is, but it plays down into everything that is past, present, future,
totally,
all the way to plain everyday life, all the way up to the cosmic events and our reality. It's all
you basically see it all from all the different levels, which is always interesting talking to you, because I get. With what I get, it's interesting to kind of pair that up, especially since we haven't talked since November. Do you have anything that aligns does any of that resonate with what I'm talking about? Because what they're talking about is it's an upliftment energy for light workers, which of course, light workers are the first, we're that first, second wave of this whole thing happening with the collective. So we're elevating everybody as we are offered that energy, and everybody's receiving it, but they're not just consciously aware. So I don't know if you want to comment on any of that.
So one of the things that's been in my energy, kind of just awareness for a while now, is the revelation. It's kind of a big deal among the community, the cosmic galactic community, and those who are participating on this planet, that every so often, about every revelation, it's about 26,000 years, there is a new root race seeded.
Ooh.
And there is a lot of attention and almost competition, I would say, for the participation in that particular new root race, because of the significance of this planet and the potential for those who are part of the concept of what Earth was created to be.
Okay, wait, let me make sure I understand, because again, I want others to understand. So you're talking a new race being created or offered into Earth. It is occurring at this point. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and it's a little bit of it's, I don't want to put time into the picture, but it's time for, okay, now, this is what. I'm sorry,
it's time for that now, you said?
We're due now for a revelation for the new one to come. Okay, so
I just heard you take us. Wait, hold on. I'm just going to go with what I've got here for a second. Wow. Okay, so what I'm getting is, like, that's a huge acceleration, isn't it? Right, bringing them in. Like, whoa! I have so many chills. A huge acceleration. Now, interestingly, we might think, well, how are we going to know who it is? Is this coming in with a new race with the children, or is this coming? Is this or where's the houses? Me, I'm always like, well, how is that going to manifest? What's that going to look like?
You're kind of talking about things that are all kind of related to each other. You're not off. Now, do you remember when we spoke about Atlantis and how they would manifest offspring in Atlantis?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they weren't necessarily babies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That the next evolutionary step, massive step up for Earthlings, okay, would be something that would be, I see as something a lot more akin to that kind of environment. It would be it would be a level up in a way where we say the star kids, but the star kids, I've come to find out very recently, they manifest into children here, but everybody who has one says they talk like an adult. They talk like they're so kind of talking to me like my own parent or my own grandparent would, right?
Yes, I've seen this. Mm-hmm.
So they're in a child's body, but they are not young. These are, advanced beings. So yes, children, they're manifesting as children now, but that's not necessarily what they would look like at the a raised level of evolution once the next revelation came back up. It kind of comes up out of the center as way one of the models for it. So, but yes,
I just heard a continuous upgrade with they just said leveling up with humankind, because we are this grand experiment that has been forever tweaked and changed and shifted around, and this is what you're talking about is we haven't had one for a long time. Oh, did you say 26,000 years, or what'd you say?
It's supposed to be, it's a revelation. Yeah, we move it. There's 5. This will be the 6th one. And there's been a lot of tumultuous activity around this particular one. So there was even like from my point of view, the way it looks for me, whether that's necessarily true or not, it was almost like a misfire, and we had to go back and do it again. So
when you say tumultuous activity, you're talking in the cosmos. You're not talking is it showing up here too? Well, you're saying in that creation?
let's say for instance, we all knew on our galactic or cosmic or sky, what's the other one there, on our higher levels, that was the time to be here for this, and we came in for it. Okay, so we as light workers are the ones who understand kind of what's going on, have felt like this is kind of bumpy, what's happening with all the, even if we don't have a full, we've noticed, okay, we went through quarantine Earth, and then there was some ascension this and kind of went up, and then we came down, and then it's been kind of like, what's happening, it's not stabilizing. So because the ones of us that do this, we come in for a moment, we do it, and we leave, and it's done. We don't stay here and go and years on, and that doesn't happen. That's not how we ascend planets. We do it everywhere.
Yeah.
So this one has been a little bit more tumultuous than others, and I think, like I said, I think we had a misfire, and we're doing it now again. But this particular one, there was competition involved, and the competition got a little bit aggressive.
You're talking in the cosmos, obviously, right?
And see, this is the thing about it. You know how Earth is the living library of all that exists.
I mean, it's all one, I realize, but yes, and it reverberates throughout. I just wondered what we're like, if we're seeing anything here with that.
So there's a lot of those two. There's an agenda. There's certain agendas for control.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
How the next one will come up, because that energetic will
that's how we're seeing it. That's how it reverberates to us, right?
Stage for the next revelation for Earth, and when Earth has the energetic stage set, Earth has the living library of all that exists. So it is quite important for all that are involved. This is stable environment, because that is the platform at which they're all going to now evolve. Okay, so if this is not stable, or they don't like something going on here, or somebody's trying to power play, it's going to be directed at this. So this was kind of an important time period, but there was a few things that happened in there that were not okay. So this is it's happening now again. My light just went off. I hope you can still see me all right.
Yeah.
So, that aside, that's been my experience. I've been experiencing kind of the misdirect, or a few different attempts to be crazy, but it's moving now. And it has very much to do with that particular energetic. It would be that particular energetic of the 144, what we call star children, is such a huge advancement from anything that has ever been in remembered history for this particular environment. Now, that doesn't mean that it wasn't already very advanced at one time.
Yeah.
Okay, but from where we are, what we're experiencing now, to where it would take us, would be a massive up level. So seeing those light beings come in, they come in and sometimes they look like children, sometimes they look like adults. But that is the energetic that would be the up level. Yes.
Okay. So is that connecting to what I just said about the energetic at the end of February or spring sometime? I don't know when it actually manifests. Is that what we're talking about? Or okay.
Yes,
and we don't know. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's exactly at that particular time, but it is
right.
It's unfolding.
Yes.
While it's being corrected. So it's going on at the same time. It's going on simultaneously. So, but it can't, it's not that it can't really be messed up at the end of the day, but we're having to correct, steer the ship.
Yeah, they're talking about an adjustment, a big adjustment. So let me make sure, just to be clear, what we're talking about here, and I think you and I agree on this, but I don't know if I'm going to explain it right. Whatever is happening elsewhere is actually, we see it as a reverberation, I guess, or a reflection, or there it's okay. They said like a ripple effect, right? Everything's a ripple effect. Is that correct with respect to when we're talking creation? When you're talking about, so when you're talking about there's a new version of us coming in. And you're talking about how that's being done and the energy of that. We still see that energy. We see that energy, but it's, how do I want to explain this? So if there are beings out there trying to stop this from happening or whatever, want to change it, there's some kind of, I keep getting warfare. Anyway, I want to talk about that too. But anyway, we will see that energy reverberate here and how things are with respect to the topic you're talking about. I mean,
usually, yes, that is absolutely right. So there's an entanglement effect. There's a, so and it goes in both directions. So we get it from the past, the future, from different ways. So it's coming in different ways, but we are rippling into each other's. And it would be based a lot on the space-time or time-space structure that we're in, which is another, kind of variable that you can look at. But as we move through this, we're going to have ripple effects from different things. Now, this is a very interesting dynamic that's going on right now, because there's several different agenda or schemes. Kind of one of them is going to the ancient past and trying to change something way back so that it would be so that one of the groups would be a more advanced power player in this particular decision. So they went kind of back and changed something, thinking by the time, we make this change way back then, now we're at the table for this event and we'll have more power or more authority than we would have.
So I got to add this. Yeah, I got to add this, because before you said this, I was getting this whole thing. They're telling me, well, past, present, future, it's all one. We know that it's all one, but you're all working for the, so what they're showing, all working for takes us back to the oneness, becoming the oneness, the collective zero, or that 0 point of the past working for the past working with the future to create the present, but which it ultimately takes us to the oneness, the collective 0 point. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like it's all affecting the now moment and what we create in the now moment. Oh my God, does that make any sense?
Totally makes sense. Yes, totally makes sense. That's right.
The way they keep saying past, present, future, and I'm actually seeing this, but I can't put it into words. It's very hard to put into words. But to your point of being able to go back to ancient history, bring it to present day, to the now moment, and try to explain that. It's very hard to understand, but that's what's really happening right now. So they're bringing that back into the ancient past. They're bringing that back into the creation of what you're talking about, the next form of us, or that next, what did you call it? A new
it's a root race. It's yes, but it's funny, because I don't think that like necessarily that was the plan, but that's what's happening now, because as we keep these things in separation, past, present, future, eras, we've got 5 eras. We're keeping all of these things categorized in separation, right? Bronze Age, Gold Age, this, who was in charge there, you know what I mean? We're keeping these all in separate. And as these, especially the ones that have like an agenda, well, if one of those agendas don't go well, guess what eventually will happen when this chaos starts to occur? We start removing all of those partitions, all of these things that kept that separate from that and that separate from that, because these things once these things kind of go off track, we're like, pull that right on out of there, because again, at the end of the day, we are one energy, right? Yes. Everything comes from creator, from the center, from 0 point. So as these things are going like this, because somebody wanted to be stupid, we start pulling out the partitions and saying they won't be separate anymore, and it'll come back, because we got to bring it back to center point and balance it. So things start becoming less partition, less separation eras, less separation between past, present, future, less separation between races and cosmic and ground level, right?
And this is part of why a lot of people, this is why a lot of people, if we bring this right back to the ground, to the individuals, are starting to feel very honestly ethereal, like there's the whole time thing is a big deal. Like you're just kind of it's very hard to put into words, but most people watching this video are going to understand that, because we felt that to some degree, of that all falling to the wayside, and all those partitions coming down. And that's part of what you're talking about. That's how we're feeling it individually.
And it's coming in pretty quick because of the way that it happened, which I'm okay with that, even though sometimes it can cause a lot of like, wow, you feel like it's a lot to take in at one time, but it's coming in quickly because of some of the circumstances surrounding, I know they used the word warfare earlier. Well, there's beings here. Warfare is not anything that is even in their concept or consciousness, because they're so far beyond duality. They're oneness, unity. There's no such thing as warfare. There wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But they are now consciously present in a warfare, in a actively dueling energy.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Because just the other day, yes, and I want to validate what you just said, because literally, like maybe 2 days ago, I was actually talking to a client, but I was really in channel mode, and they were showing, and they said, as above, so below, which aligns directly with what we're talking about. And they were showing to your point, warfare, but it's like you said, the duality part of that. It's almost like, okay, so what they're showing me, and they're showing in the skies, the warfare, but we're veiled, we can't see that. There is this battle, which I'll comment on in a minute, and then as above, so below kind of thing. And then they were talking about inner earth, which is another conversation. But point being is, what I think is happening there is you're talking about, they're seeing the duality. They're actually, it's the past, present, future all together up there. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but so those that, like you said, are highly evolved, and it's like they don't even think about warfare. They're battling kind of, I'll just say, the past and the old ways too. Does that make sense? Like it's all showing up to be, and like everybody's come to the party to show back up.
It's the craziest thing. Okay, so
am I right? Isn't that? I'm
and
interpreting this correctly.
The way they did this move. Okay, let me just tell you, this is kind of a very unprecedented thing that happened, and we're dealing with it as it happens, because what else can you do, right? But you think about somebody in this moment at the table, and they're talking about the root race, and they feel slighted in some way. Maybe they feel like, I wish I would have done that differently. I would have had more authority here. Or maybe if I go back and I do this little switch out, I can now be at the table with more whatever. Or I shouldn't have done that with our DNA, whatever. And they go back and they make a little tweak. And that little time travel jump thing that they did had an effect that they weren't planning on. It created a whole new version of what they were then, instead of fixing it and making them something different now, because they didn't understand the time situation.
And you know what they're doing? You're going to crack up. So they're trying to help us understand. So that's why I can give a real simple version. Did you ever watch the movie Night at the Museum? Robin Williams was in it, and so was Ben Stiller. Okay, think about that. So the Night at the Museum, for people that haven't watched it, watch it. It's hilarious. But anyway, everybody from history came alive, and they had to all deal with each other, and they all came together. And this is what they're showing. I have so many chills as the metaphor, and that's what's happening, like all up there, around, everywhere, right?
Yes. And it's not even because moving around like that is not actually as simple as it would seem, right? But the ones who tried it, they made a devolved version of themselves from there. They thought, oh, let's jump there and do that. Now they're actually in conflict with their version of themselves from the past, trying to make it, it didn't work out the way they thought it would, right?
So this aligns. Okay, so to bring this back down day to day, this aligns with everything that we've talked about, the work that I do, where we talk about our past lives are integrating with us, our soul fragments are integrated. It's all this coming back in. So we are dealing with whether we are even a bit conscious or not, knowing we're going through the awakening, or if we're super wide awake, our past lives are rejoining us, and we're having experiences and things in our journey that we don't understand that are tied to past lives. Point being is, when you do get connected into understanding your past lives, oh, they're real, and you know what
Oh,
you're going through, but it's tied to what what we're talking about here.
this is so funny that you say that, because we were discussing this before, and we've had, past life experiences, all kinds of different things that would come. And there is a resonance, there's a familiarity, and there's usually a remembrance of, say, you did such and such, and you'll go, wow, I did. And then you'll start to remember,
Yeah.
and things will start, that makes sense. That's why I like to do that.
Yes.
Or that's what I heard there. That's why I see that symbol. Oh my goodness. Yes. And you start to have this like, okay, then I don't know about you. I think you and I were talking about this. We went through this time period where we were having past things come. We're like, what? Are you sure that's mine? Where it really didn't make sense. We're like, okay, well, we know that that is a thing. So we're going to kind of go with it. But that doesn't feel like it did before when things were making sense to me. And it was like something showed up from the past that we had no idea. Now, what does that sound like? Somebody tried to the past, change something. They tried to travel back, but didn't actually travel back. They brought the whole thing with them and dropped it right in our lap. Right. And it's a different version of what we were then, with a whole trajectory projected life to now that we didn't have, because it changed that one thing. So it gave it to us, and we went, hold on, what just happened there? Who is this?
Yeah.
So, and there's elements playing out here, and we're like, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen, but we basically brought a somewhat distorted piece of the past forward into this moment.
Yeah. And what I want to say to people is, a lot of us may think, well, we're just sitting here, this is all just happening to us. No. The spiritual awakening, healing work that we do, that continued growth that we do in our present day journey, this consciousness that we have as Jennifer and Carolyn that we're doing, it affects everything else too. So it's important that we're doing our work, because we're affecting past, present, and future.
Well, right now, I would say probably more than anything, the most important thing to focus yourself on is your sovereignty as your creator being.
Yeah.
Because everything that you've done through your life, it is your, you could call it your legacy. It is your work. It is your refinement of your being, your soul. It is it's what you have to show for yourself, kind of, right? So when you stay in your authentic self and true to your creator, okay, nature, then you will be able to maybe balance some of these weird things that are coming in. Oh, that's not necessarily in resonance with me, and I'm not going to go with it. I'm going to hold myself where I am, and it's going to have to adjust to me. So it may not actually hang in there. It might fall apart because it's not the resonance of my nature as my creator being. Yes. So, because there was a time when I would just say, whatever comes, it's mine, I'll deal with it. And I'm thinking, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore, because whatever I am, who I am is in my deepest integrity, that's who I am. Mm-hmm. And whatever comes to me, no matter how it feels, that's what I'm holding, and it will have to adjust to me. Mm-hmm. I will not go off. I don't think I did that. It doesn't feel good, but I'm going to go ahead and work it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, I'm going to work it this way. I'm going to hold myself perfectly in integrity, and it will have to adjust to me. I'm not going to adjust to it. Does that make sense?
No, totally. And that's why, a lot of people will ask me, and you hear it a lot too, just in general, I just want to know my purpose. Well, everybody's purpose, their primary purpose in this incarnation, is to understand, bring ourselves back into ourselves, understand who we truly are, to your point, right. And that sovereign self, that divine self, and do that, bring that energy back in, build yourself again, reclaim yourself. I mean, that's our primary purpose as individuals in the ascension. And then from there, that's that whole thing of where, you can metaphor of cocoon coming out, or the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, or now you're ready to, move out into the world in some different way. But it's this inner journey to find out and reclaim who we truly are.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's really kind of the stability, of the whole thing, is being able to hold stable the massive, the weight of your vast being, right?
Yes.
So, really just all your your work is really just being yourself.
That's right. Your authentic self. Mm-hmm.
That's right. So, but yeah, it's just there's so much going on.
I think this is a really good conversation as a big picture conversation that pairs up with the information I brought through, and like, because we haven't talked since November, and it's like we're on the same page, but it's just how we bring in information. You know what I mean?
Well, what you said earlier too, the 0 point, I want to talk about that a little bit, just about the importance of being in the center of your being, balanced and stabilized in 0 point. A 0 point to me means the center of creation.
Yes, me too. Exactly.
And there's just not really a time element to it. It's more of your center of creation. It's just center of your being.
It just is. It just is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it before, but being in a center point as a creator being, there's really not a lot of things like go do this, run out there and do that, time travel over there. You don't need to do that. You're in your moment in no time. There's no time involved. And you're surrounded, and everything that you've ever done or created, or that has been created, if you're tapped into your unity, is right there. You can sit in meditation and do anything you want. There would be no getting in this to go to this planet or taking that and time traveling here. It's not necessary. Mm-hmm. So right in that, staying in that 0 point is your most powerful position. Because everything that you've ever done, will do, or is right there.
Yep. All right. Oh, you know what they're showing me? Okay, I got to give you this. What they're showing me is some of the ascended ones, the ascended masters. They're showing. Do you remember the story of Prophet Muhammad on the horse, the white horse going to Jerusalem? What I'm getting is that's the kind of travel we're talking. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. And then what did Jesus do? He did something too. But this is the kind of thing where it's not about getting in a spaceship and going to another planet. It's through the inner you that you do this traveling.
It's the journey. You take the journey in meditation, the journey that we're doing.
And this is why some of the great ones, they went to caves and they would do their meditation, and they would come back with, here's where I went to. And that's the night journey of Prophet Muhammad. That's, I think, Jesus, Yeshua there's a story there too. There's many of them have those kinds of experiences.
Yeah, that's right. Something they said something to us one time about the missing years of Christ. And I thought, I think I might have some insight on what was going on.
That's probably a video in itself. Yeah, me too. I've had a lot of information come through on that, but I think we don't want to go there right now. But so you were talking about 0 point. Did you want to make any other comment about that?
Well, no, I mean, it's other than the fact of just keeping that in mind. We do a lot of, my son's in here now. We do a lot of running around sometimes to get things, and really to get things done, to go on trips, retreats, to maybe go to specialists or healers and things like that. All of it is wonderful, but it's you always have to remember you're your best guru.
Totally. This is what I've told people before. I actually have a video out there that says be your own guru. I know.
Okay.
It's totally true.
So it's helpful when you really focus it on yourself. You don't have to actually go anywhere except, and that is a 0 point field, which is very powerful, and it can make a tremendous change in an instant. So focusing on that and trying to stepping out of time and being in a 0 point field in meditation for whatever you want, or any kind of work that you may want to.
Building that power here. It's almost like they're showing like creating like really revving up that energy that's inside of. They're showing this as you're talking, like really being able to have that all come from here.
Yes.
You like that?
He had to come and start making noise. I have noticed so much as far as like partitions that, I hope that's not too distracting. The partitions that have come out have been, and I actually prefer, I just realized when partitions are gone, I'm actually better. I like it more. A lot of other people are like, I don't like that. I like to be able to
Me too.
go. I get rid of them and it feels better to me. So with that being said, I'm seeing all of these different reality systems, but they kind of, and then how they go into each other. And sometimes I'll say, yeah, don't keep that one touching that one. Maybe close that door right now. That's bugging me, trying to focus on. But for the most part, they're open. There's no partition, so I can see everything going on at one time. And my goodness, we've got a lot of stuff going on. I was almost thinking, like, I feel like I need to clean out the garage. You know how your garage gets trashed after a while?
Right.
And I'm like, I think we've got a few things like that going on too. So getting rid of some of these more chaotic, not super expansive or helpful reality systems.
I just heard it. Whoa, yeah, I just heard it's all getting sorted out.
Yeah, there's a lot that are really, there's a lot of them, and there's some that are highly artificial, or different things like that. It's like, I'm just really unnecessary, and they are getting kind of sorted through, and the cream rises to the top, like they said before, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're not still. It's ongoing, and it's funny, the topics or the metaphors stay the same, even though the subject matter might change. That is what's going on right now.
So, yeah, but you know what I'm seeing more and more now, and with this conversation is, and this has to do with the walls coming down, like you just said. You like it better this way, so do I. But what I'm seeing more and more of is it's just all the veiling and all the walls are between past, present, future, and all. So
yes,
all are collapsing. They don't feel like they're there anymore. If that makes, I know that sounds kind of nutty, but
no, it's true.
It literally feels like you can reach out and there's just no partitioning. It feels like.
Well, there's work some of the work that we're doing now is work that has to be done as the entire energetic of everything that exists is like, I see it like a kaleidoscope, or those landscapes they make that are with a gear, and as they go, the trees grow and the buildings come up, and then I don't know if you've ever seen these very ornate wood puzzles that they make where they, and it moves, the landscape moves, the trees grow, the building. Okay. That's kind of the way I see the plane of existence, or the, what we're working on. Sometimes some of these corrections or changes, they're the whole thing and it moves together. You can't do a piece here and a piece there. It has to be the whole thing.
No, you can't. In fact, they're showing.
There's no, yeah.
They're showing they're using this as a metaphor and they're validating what you're saying. You know how ice chunks, like in the Arctic, when they break apart, it's like puzzle pieces and then things fit back together. And then that's what they're showing. Like, this is like the Earth's crust kind of thing moving, but they're showing it in ice form, like coming together and shifting apart and then replacing each other. And then what they're showing after this in that metaphor is these breaking apart that kind of clunking into each other, but they're still all part of the one. But then eventually they're showing it freezing anew. Just that seeming together. They're talking about like seeming. It's a seeming of the new. Oh, I know that sounds wild.
Oh, that's right. They're different levels and they move differently, but it has to kind of ebb and flow together.
Yeah.
Or you get jammed in one spot and there's something else is trying to move here, So some of so big, and the movement is so massive over everything that there just cannot be this chunk and then this chunk and then that chunk. It has to be together, the whole thing.
Oh, and they're showing if what you just said, it's not a funhouse mirrors. They're not showing that, but it's collapsing doors open, shut, and they're doing this kind of thing where does that make sense to you? Like, and I don't know how to explain it, but they're showing doors opening, closing to the point where it's not like a linear way to get through just opening a door, opening a door, opening a door. It's opening a door, opening a door, opening a door. And then,
well, it's like a trapdoor system, for instance. Like if you have ever played that game, they advertise it on where you have like a series of things. And if you open this door, something flows this way. If you open that, then something comes down this way.
That's what I'm talking about. I think that's what I'm talking about.
To work its way through properly. And it's exactly what we're doing. Oh my God.
Okay, there you go today. I hope you enjoyed Jennifer and me getting back together again. I'm sure we're going to do more videos. It's just finding the time to do it. And of course, traveling our own journeys as well. So, with that, check out purplerainhealing.com for all of my services where I offer one-on-one mentoring for you during your awakening and your life journey. If you want assistance helping you understand through channeled messages and practical advice the journey you are on in spiritual awakening, helping you unfold that, I'm here to assist you through the one-on-one mentoring. Additionally, I have individual channeled messages session, either an audio recording or working with me one-on-one. And lastly, I have always distance energy healing, which is super powerful and always something important for us as we move through this life journey. All right, everybody, thank you again so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.